Imagine if he becomes Two-Face. Thank you for joining us. This is Planet Fantastic, and joining me today is someone whose opinion and discourse I've always valued. This is Jules Bedeau.
Hello, Planet Fantastic. Thank you, boys, for having me.
So Vic dies. Vic is a character who was we both liked. We liked where he came from. We liked that he was torn. We didn't always, or at least I didn't always understand his motivations sometimes. And so that's what we're here to discuss. Primarily Vic, who was the Penguin's sidekick, I suppose you could call him. What do you think Vic saw in the Penguin? Why did he stay with him? He had a moment to escape with his girlfriend. Why didn't he just go away?
Kid! It's everything, all right? It's everything. I do everything that you asked me to do. All right? I do it all. I try to, at least. It's just... I don't know if I should.
Well, you're too good for this life. Huh? That it? It's funny coming from you. You wanna go? What are you waiting for? Go!
I can't leave.
You think I'm holding you hostage or something? The what? You're prisoner? That it?
Hey.
This what it feels like?
No.
Being with me. What did you have
Oz.
before I found you, huh, kid?
Hey, please.
Nothing. That's what? A loser.
I don't...
Nobody. I gave you clothes, money, a place to crash. You got all the opportunity in the world right here. For Christ's sake. But this is all you feel. You could have left whenever you wanted. You chose to stay. How about you ask yourself why?
Oz, I don't...
Well, let me help. You stayed because you want something better.
The one thing I'll say about Vic as a character, what we have to remember is that when he's introduced to us as a character, he was on the verge of being killed by Oz
Mhm.
Cobb. He was not. He was given a reprieve.
Mhm.
Um, Oz never said he wouldn't follow through on killing Victor, but that was the reprieve. This whole series, these 8 episodes that we were able to watch, were just a reprieve of that Victor was able to experience. Oz is a master manipulator that we learned throughout the course of the series, from the first scene with the young Falcone, and we see that process throughout the entire series. That he knows how to manipulate people, he knows how to work people. You mentioned him and described him as a sidekick initially when you were speaking there. In full analysis after watching the series, Victor was a pet. Victor was a pet that Oz kept around that served his purpose, and and Victor himself, he was looking for a purpose. He was looking for a recognition. He was looking for safety, and he was looking to belong. That's what he was looking for, and that's what Oz was able to provide for him.
Mhm.
Oz recognized that, and throughout our understanding of Oz as a character in terms of manipulation of his family, manipulation of the people around him, he doesn't see people as equals. He sees them as chess pieces, pieces to use and dispose at his will. And Victor was just that. Unfortunately, he became too much of a liability, and in that, Oz had to make a decision. And the one thing that was really diabolical about his choice was that he knew that Victor, he played on that string, that chord with Victor, I believe in episode 2, about mattering and being someone. And you want people to remember your name and remember the Aguilar name. And what did Oz do with that name when he had his last opportunity? He threw that name into the water and
Right.
disposed of
Throws
Victor like
his
trash.
ID,
So
Victor's ID. That's
yeah,
right. And
trash or a
yeah,
pet.
as we were going through, and Penguin kept doing all these horrible things, you kept looking for some kind of loyalty, right? So this ties back into the Victor, getting back to Victor. everybody who you thought, okay, this person's really loyal to the Penguin, so he's obviously going to protect this guy. The henchman, and then moments later he plants a knife into his pocket, and then the henchman gets blown away. Really loyal guy. Like in the same episode, he says, "Yeah, you're really great," blah blah blah. In the end episode, the guy dies. The bomb in the pickup truck that Sophia sends, right?
Mhm.
You thought, okay, he's really loyal. These guys have just saved his life, right? They did the blackout. They're there for him the whole time. When he sees the bomb in the back of the truck, he has 18 seconds to escape. He doesn't even warn them. He doesn't say anything. He just runs away. And so throughout the course of the episodes, we kept thinking, okay, he must be loyal to somebody. There's got to be somebody that he values. And we thought, okay, well, maybe it's Vic, right? Because he could have killed Vic earlier on when Vic he said, I'm not keeping you here, and he put the gun to his head. I mean, he could have killed him there, right? Why didn't he kill him? That's actually a good question. Why, if Vic is going away, why would he keep him alive if he kills everybody who's a liability to him? As we saw at the end, episode 8, there's no humanity. His mother also said, if I ever become a vegetable, make sure you kill me. He didn't.
Mhm.
Right? She said, make
Mhm.
sure if I become a vegetable, make sure you kill me. He didn't even do that. Right? So it's really, I can't quite understand that character. Vic is obviously helping you all the step of the way. Vic would
Mhm.
give you his life for you. You need Vic. Why wouldn't you have him? Why wouldn't you keep him? You need to have somebody who can help you run the thing. Are you just going to kill everybody who, who works with
Mhm.
you? What's the purpose of that? What's the end game?
Yeah. Well, the Penguin is extremely transactional, right? He doesn't need people further than the point when he's done with them. So when he's done with them, he wants to be done with them. And that's what he realized, whether it was with his brothers served a purpose for a time. When they became an obstacle to what he was trying to do, he got rid of them. And I think that's what he does with all the people in his life, whether it was the person he used as a was an informant or his political ties, whatever. So he really doesn't really need people long because he knows that people are very much they're basic, right? With the way he deals with people in Crown Point, give them some money, tell them some things. That was his one tactic he used throughout the entire series, of stroking, was letting people know, lying, bold-faced lies. Victor unfortunately fell under that spell, and he was a disciple. That's what Oz was looking for. He's looking for the henchman.
You had mentioned we were talking earlier today, right? And you said, okay, well, what if Victor is still alive? I mean, first of all, I hope he is, right? And then you had said, okay, well, what if he maybe he has amnesia, or maybe he is trying to block out the experience that happened to him, something along those lines, right? And then maybe he's brought back to health or something, right? Does he look at the ugliness of the world of the Penguin? Uh, and become a criminal, or does it take him back to the values of his parents, his family, and his community, right? Something he was torn between in the show, right? And I thought that imagine if he becomes Two-Face, that sort of duality becomes the basis for the mental breakdown that Two-Face has. Like 10 years after the incident, maybe you had said that maybe what if he gets adopted by the Dent family, right?
I was thinking along the lines of, okay, he gets choked out, might be just a sleeper hold. So I was thinking he's somehow through the trauma of being murdered and whatever, there's some kind of blackout, forgets everything. Then he wakes up, no longer has a stutter. He goes into some type of program, whatever, police, because the mayor's trying to do a bunch of things, and he gets either adopted or whatever. And because I don't know the whole story of the Dents, I don't know how the Dents are connected to the Waynes, and the Waynes are connected to the Arkhams.
It works because
Yeah,
the Batman is still pretty with Robert Pattinson. He's still pretty young. He's beginning of his career kind of
pretty young.
thing,
Yeah.
right? So it could work. There's a few reasons why it may not work, right? Because in terms of the canon, right? Sal Maroni throws acid at Harvey Dent, which disfigures his face, right? And Sal Maroni,
Mhm.
Clancy Brown dies
He's
right?
dead.
He's dead, right? So, but I mean, what if they just modified that a little bit? Maybe it doesn't have to be canon, right?
Mm,
Maybe Matt Reeves' The
yeah,
Batman can be its own thing, right? So maybe somebody else throws something in his face, right?
yeah.
And so maybe I like the idea that maybe it doesn't have to be the freaking half face burnt off and half face whatever, right? I think imagine if it's more of a sort of a split personality idea, right? Harvey Dent, is becomes a sort of a mix of the two worlds, the worlds of the Penguin,
Exactly. The
the world,
duality of the
the
two worlds, the
duality of the two
underworld.
worlds, the underworld of this
Yeah,
thing, and his
yeah,
shady
yeah.
background, and living with that,
Hmm.
killing this thing, and the world of his father and his mother, hardworking, and the community. So you have these two worlds, and it becomes this duality. And maybe because of the trauma with the penguin, what if he has that sort of break, that sort of split, and that makes a much more interesting Two-Face character because I've never really
And you were
liked
saying you never
Two-Face.
found him interesting.
Never. I've
Yeah,
never found Two-Face interesting with
never.
the freaking
Yeah.
coin flip. I just, they're more
And if
interesting characters.
and if while he's Two-Face, he has a stutter. He has a stutter, he has the Victor
Yes,
stutter. But then when he's but then when he's Harvey Dent, he's charming,
it's
well
good.
spoken.
Yeah,
He's a great speaker. He does everything that Penguin tells him to be in terms of being able to command the crowd, because that's what you have to do. Because he's a prosecutor, right? He's
right.
a prosecutor, so he would be like so charming and so endearing. And then same way that Christopher Nolan's Batman took an interest in Dent from afar. He saw what he was doing. This would be the
Yes,
same thing. So it'd be like this guy coming up, Harvey Dent, right?
right.
Or and they might maybe some whatever the Spanish version of that, but whatever. Harvey Dent, and he would see him from afar, and he would pay for his schooling.
Well, we're calling him Harvey Dent, but Vic, changes his name because he wants to maybe distance himself from, the Crown Point and all that, some of that life. Not Crown Point necessarily, but the criminal world, right? Uh, he becomes a lawyer, goes to school, and 10 years, maybe he's put in foster care. So it could either be the Dent family or it could be foster care. It could be maybe he's funded by Bruce Wayne, who's taking an interest
Yeah.
in the destruction of Crown Point, because Batman actually did have a hand in that sort of massive flood that happened at the end of the Batman, right? So
Hmm.
maybe
Hmm.
he uses some of his billions to sort of finance and, have these sort of programs or
Hmm.
something, right? Um, and so 10 years later, imagine if Victor is now he's a lawyer, he's a grassroots kid of Crown Point, man of the people with a slightly shady past, and because of that, he becomes a district attorney. Right, the people of the community start respecting him because he's from that community, right? And then he aligns with Commissioner Gordon and Bruce Wayne, works his way up the ladder, but because he loathes who he became with that dark past and the enormous guilt he had when he was working with the Penguin and the guy that he killed at least one person, right? In the show, like
Yeah, the local thug. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah,
he
yeah,
shot the guy and with
he shot him. He shot him in the neck.
in the
Shot him in
neck.
the neck.
Then the car thing. I don't know if that guy died or not, but
Oh no, I don't know about that. When he saved Oz.
saved Oz. He crashed into the guy with the
Yeah.
car. So maybe he loathes who he became, and then he's struggling with the enormous guilt, but he also is struggling to reconcile that with the decency and goodness of his parents and family and community. Um,
Hmm.
and that creates a basis for like a much more interesting Two-Faced than a guy who just got acid thrown on his face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never. Maybe there's a story there, but it would be much better if that was how they wrote the series, and if they actually did a Two-Face series down the road.
Yeah.
But it would all hang on Victor. That would be that actor Red. What's it? I apologize. I don't have the name of the actor at the top of my head of the
Renzi
Victor.
Renzi Feliz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, but
Okay, yeah, I believe you're correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, right. Yeah, that if it hang it all on him and they do a series. But again, I wonder where DC goes next. Are they going to try and do more of these, try and match that quality, or are they going to leave it alone? Because you can't capture lightning in a bottle that often. So they might want to leave this one alone. I don't know. I'm just speaking out of turn here, but I would hate for them to try this again with Joker or some other major character and try and make it as compelling as this, because Colin Farrell was doing some magic with this series and his performance. The thing I like about the show so far is that all the primary characters, Sophia, the mom, Penguin, Victor, are still
Mm,
alive. They're still alive. And for
that's
him to
true.
still be alive, that would be great. I think it would make for great. But again, like I was telling you, I think that this Penguin show is so much better than the Batman movie. So they're gonna have to do a lot of
I
juggling
agree.
to figure out how to bring
You got to bring it
everything
up to
up
that
to the
level.
same quality.
You got to
Yeah,
bring it
because
up to that level.
to watch the Batman movie right now is it's a chore. You know what I mean? It's a chore to watch that movie.
I wouldn't say it was a chore. There was something kind of refreshing about it. Sort of like a low-tech Batman. It's almost like Batman Year One. He's sort of finding his footing. He's sort of making mistakes. But this Penguin by the creator Lauren LaFranc may be one of the best, I say, DC adaptations I think I've seen. And I think DC partnering with HBO, I think is a great idea. I think that's probably where some of these more sort of mature uh, Batman characters or DC characters could go.
Well,
Um,
they won with the Watchmen already. They had the Watchmen. The Watchmen was excellent a couple of years ago. It was critically acclaimed. It was an excellent foray into drama for DC. It
mhm,
wasn't as widely received because the Watchmen are kind of a secondary kind of a pro product or team, and it's a story that's been told before.
mhm.
But this kind of variation on Watchmen, like years after what the original story we know, was excellently done. They put great actors in that series, Regina King, Jeremy Irons, and they really raised the bar. And we had no idea we expected this Penguin, but it's really up there with the
Right.
violence, with the mature themes, and yeah, it's something they should really stick to because I enjoyed it immensely.
Why didn't he kill Eve when she does know where all the bodies are buried and she is a loose end?
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but she serves a purpose. She's a muse. She might be her death might be coming soon. There might be a greater purpose for her because she wasn't really used that much in the series. Um, there might be some truth to one theory I heard about her being the child of Rex Calabrese and his mother. Um,
Mm,
that makes it even more sinister, but
and
but
creepy.
because of the similarities of how much they look alike,
Yeah,
to his mother. But there might be some truth there. But I don't know if they'll go that gross, but they could. They've already decided to the way they finished off Victor. I mean, that's one way they chose to go. So
they
maybe
could.
they're not afraid of going further with that.
Summary, I just wanted to thank Jules for appearing. As I've said, I've always valued his insight on shows and movies. It's usually well thought out, and he goes deep. He really knows pop culture, and we usually have these great conversations, great debates, and we don't always agree. But I value how he reaches his conclusions about 80% of the time. So
Well, thanks for having me, Planet Fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and there'll be more conversations to come.
thank you so much, Jules Bedeau, and good night, everybody.